Yes.
In the previous class, we have discussed about the basic knowledge about the arthritis and something about the juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. Nothing to add in that, only in case of adult, if you find a case of rheumatoid arthritis, you add only this thing and rest others is continue as and treatment modality and something, each and everything as juvenile. But this criteria in 1987 we revised criteria for classification of rheumatoid arthritis as made, and in that criteria, the 6 criteria is this. One is morning stiffness. Second one is arthritis of 3 or more joint. Arthritis of 3 or more joint. Third is symmetrical arthritis. If one hand is involved, other hand is involved, this empty joint is involved, this empty joint involved, epi joint involved, epi joint involved, the knee is involved, the both side. The symmetry is there. Symmetrical arthritis is there. Rheumatoid nodules is there. Rheumatoid nodules is there. If you do the serum rheumatic factor, it is positive. Almost 60 to 70% this is positive. And radiographic changes, if have in these 6 criteria, if the 4 qualify, if the 4 one person will have in the 4 criteria qualify in the 4 criteria, he will be diagnosed as a case of rheumatoid arthritis. This to be added in that juvenile in previous classes, and some other things remains same. The same modality of treatment, same modality of something usual. So this is about the rheumatoid arthritis. Now we come to osteoarthritis, simply called OA. This is the most common form of arthritis. There are so many types of arthritis there, but the most common form of osteoarthritis is osteoarthritis. Usually, almost all joint can involve in this process. Basically, weight-bearing joints and the joints which are used more frequently are commonly involved in this case, like weight-bearing joint like knee. The most common is knee, ankle, hip. These are the joints more commonly involved with weight-bearing joint. And most common joint is involved is PIP, DIP and PIP also. So any joint can be involved, but most common is these 2 joints, DIP and PIP. And the spinal joints are also involved. Also, the articular facet is there. I think you see the superior facet and inferior facet between the 2 vertebra join to each other, then form the synovial joints also. That can be involved in this process. So, what is involved is weight-bearing joints and frequently used joints. Frequently used joints are involved in this process of osteoarthritis. Man before 45 and woman after 45 is commonly involved. Usually, man is using the more loads and more force and on their weight-bearing joints. So, man early involves than the woman, but women are usually involved after 45 due to some hormonal changes. And almost all man, some sort of arthritis having arthritis after 75. Almost all man and women after 40-75, some sort of osteoarthritis they have. And something is Heberden nodes, especially around the DIP joints. This is the Heberden nodes. Around the PIP joint, Bouchard nodes. around PIP, along the PIP. Along the PIP, this is Bouchard node, and this along the cyst formation around the margin. Around the margin, this cyst is basically joint with the communicating with the joint, but later on it will separated and just like a small swelling on the both medial, especially the dorsomedial and dorsolateral areas, dorsomedial and dorsolateral areas, you find some nodule, and if you find same kinds of nodules in the PIP joint, this is called Bouchard nodes and the Haverden nodes. These things we can find in case of basically BIP and BIP. Now what is happening? Basically, when we are bearing the weight or lifting the weight, carrying the weight, the stress is borne by the articular cartilage, subchondral bone, joint capsule and ligaments, and the muscles. These four are commonly taking the load, stress of the load. We are taking our returns around the joints. So these things are more involved by they are taking the energies absorbed by these. So pressure, stress, especially borne by these things around the joints. If we want to try to understand the mechanism and pathogenesis of the osteoarthritis, so first of all we just have some knowledge, anatomical and functional structures of the joint, basically about the cartilage. So must have some idea of what is happening. Cartilage is a biological substance, but it is metabolically very less. Metabolically, it is metabolically active, but its metabolism very slow, very less amount of metabolism is there. So it can survive long time. It is only survive on the synovial fluid. Direct blood supply is not there. Direct blood supply is not there to the cartilage. It is survive on the synovial fluids. It is bathed into synovial fluids and take nutrition from that. So, what are the basic structures? This normal cartilage, normal articular cartilage is compressive. It can compress and it's elastic. It's usually not break. It is not a hard. It is not hard like a bone, but it is elastic and compressive. If there is a high pressure load is there, even in case of high pressure load, a smooth and frictionless movement is possible due to this cartilage. A smooth and frictionless movement is possible only due to this peculiar articular cartilage, synovial cartilage. This cartilage is made up of collagen, proteoglycans. This collagen, proteoglycans. This collagen is a protein, usually type 2 protein. Type 2 collagen normally found in the cartilage, and this proteoglycans is mainly of three groups. That is glucose aminoglycans, chondroitin sulfate, and creatine sulfate. These three form the proteoglycans. These proteoglycans, when mixed with the collagen fiber, is just like a cement sand with the reinforcing the rods in your building your buildings. So just like this rod is made up of collagen, and this other cement and sand in the mixture is made up of proteoglycans, and that this form the collagen in this cartilage. Normally this proteoglycans non-covalently bound to the hyaluronic acid. This is formed with the hyaluronic. So, glucosamine, glycosamine and hyaluronic acid. These four makes the proteoglycans. This hyaluronic acid is also found in the synovial fluids also. Normally it is not individual separated, but it is formed usually in aggregates. This proteoglycans is found in aggregate, and these aggregate forms of the proteoglycans, is extremely hydrophilic. So it binds the water. This proteoglycan, just like cement and water, it binds the water. So this proteoglycans is hydrophilic in nature, so it binds water. If it binds water, how much? 70% of total weight of articular cartilage. 70% of the weight of the articular cartilage is made up of water only. So because of this water content, cartilage is resilient and elastic. This is resilient. This is water content. Pressure comes down, it spread, and again come back. So resiliency is due to high water content. If water content is less, it become hard. Resiliency lost, and due to destruction of the cartilage, damage of the cartilage. So these things is very important. And one thing is another third thing found in the cartilage along with the collagen, along with the proteoglycan is chondrocytes. This is the chondrocyte cells is found there. This chondrocyte form the collagen, proteoglycans, and some enzyme. That enzyme is proteoges, collagenase, and cathepsin D. Collagenase, proteoges, and cathepsin D. These are formed by the chondrocytes. If there is some alteration, some destruction is there, destructive process, catabolism is going on in the, just like other tissues, catabolism and metabolism is going on, this remodeling process is going on, this cartilage. If this collagen or proteoges was degrade the collagen or proteoglycans mixture, then what is happening? Then one other enzyme is catabolin. This catabolin react with this enzyme and destruction of the cartilage product. It's again activate the chondrocyte. If this activated, then again it's divide and form the DNA, and reparative process is going on. So normally reparative process is, if this chondrocyte is very much reactive, it does not form the DNA normally, but in circumstances when the cartilage destruction is going on by this enzyme stimulates catabolism, stimulates the chondrocyte, and then chondrocyte divides and form the DNA for the regeneration of damaged part of the cartilage. This is going on. So this process is going on. So basically osteoarthritis is a aging process, and then if load is there, so this normal mechanism is getting disturbed, and chondrocyte start to form divides and form the DNA reparative process. So these things are going on. These are normal anatomical and physiological knowledge about the cartilage. What basically happened to this cartilage due to usually getting loads of the bed weight. So this is basically osteoarthritis is the aging process. Basically, as much age is increases, so your cartilage is going to damage. So this is basically aging process. So what happened with this taking the loads of the weight of the body and something your normal activities that lead to more loads on the running, jumping, and something heavy things you are lifting. So each and every activities you are putting the pressure stress on the cartilage. So what is happening there? So two theories there. The first one theory is macro fracture of subchondral bone. While doing this job, is taking the process, first thing happen is macro fracture of the subchondral bone. If there is a subchondral bone get fractured, so healing process gets started. Healing of the bone, healing of the fracture gets started. And that lead to, healing of that, this lead to a stiff and thickened subchondral bone. That lead to a stiff and thickened subchondral bone. And this stiff and thickened subchondral bone leads to poorly bear the weight of the energy absorb the energy of the weight. If you are taking the weight, this stiff subchondral bone is poorly adjusted to the energy load. So if this area is not sufficiently or not properly absorb the weight, then leads to activation of the chondrocytes. Activation of the chondrocytes. That lead to pressure on the chondrocytes. Because weight is not getting properly disordered. So what is happening? So some changes in the cartilage, and that changes lead to activation of the chondrocytes, and that chondrocytes start cell division and DNA synthesis. Start cell division and synthesis of DNA, and that lead to collagen formation, prostaglandin and enzyme in response to that, and these are formed. So as much as these are formed, so the process is going on, one process. And second thought is there is some direct changes, internal changes taking place in the cartilage. Here the macro fracture leads to changes in the chondrocyte, and another is by taking this weight, so automatically this water content of the cartilage is getting less and less by the aging process. So internal change in the cartilage, and that internal change in the cartilage lead to loss of resilience, loss of water content is there. If the cartilage lost the resilience, lost the water, so it becomes harder, and that lead to macro fracture. And this macro fracture lead to degradation of the cartilage. If degradation process start, it again changes the cartilage to do the reparative process. Start cell division, DNA synthesis, form the collagen, proteoglycans and enzymes. So this reparative process starts. If the reparative process initially parallel with the degradation, as much as degradation is there, reparative process is there. So this reparative process combat the degradative process, but further on aging is going on. So loss of cartilage is more predominant. So this degradative process overcome the reparative process. So degradative process is more than reparative process, and so then led to loss of cartilage, and this loss of cartilage leads to osteoarthritis. This is true process. Just we have discussed the pathogenesis of the cartilage, in the normal cartilage, and what changes in the cartilage leads to aging and loading of the weight bearings. And what is the pathology? What you find in this fish? You will find this fissuring and pitting of the cartilage. Cartilage get fissured and pitting and fissuring of the cartilage along the collagen fiber. So this your collagen fiber. Between the collagen fiber there is a proteoglycans, and that proteoglycans get break. So this collagen along the collagen fiber there is a fissuring and pitting of the cartilage. This fissuring and pitting of the cartilage that lead to flaking, fibrillation and renewed areas. Flaking, the breaking. Flaking means breaking. Breaking of the cartilage. So fastly, once it start breaking, it goes on like fibrillation. Fibrillation just like a heart muscle. It's a fast activity of the muscle is fibrillation. So once the breaking starts, the flaking starts, it start fastly, the cartilage is going to destroy and fibrillation occur, and that these two, flaking and fibrillation, leads to denudation of the areas. The cartilage get completely lost from the area. So this is due to this prostaglandin and water content decreases. Why this happening? This is due to proteoglycans is decreases and water content of decreases. So resident of the cartilage is decreases, and but due to this changes in the cartilage or by some fissuring and fitting of the cartilage, this lead to clusters of the chondrocyte increase. There is a amount of chondrocyte get increase in clusters. So many chondrocytes get increases in, and that lead to subchondral bone changes around the subchondral bone, and this subchondral bone is where this is subchondral bone. So this is osteoblastic and osteoclastic. Osteoblastic and osteoclastics. So bone new gain is born and bone is dissolved, and bone is formed. So this process going on that lead to denudation of the cartilage, and this denudation cartilage is lost from that area. If the cartilage gets lost from the area, what are the changes? The one changes is that is the formation of subchondral cyst because of synovial fluid enter into the fissure area of the subchondral bone, and in subchondral area, subchondral bone, due to this synovial fluid go into side, and that form the synovial cyst. That form the synovial cyst. This area, cystic area. So you find cystic areas there. Where there is this cystic area is there. Subchondral sclerosis is there. Subchondral bone is becoming, some chondral bone becomes more and more. So this is weight bearing area, usually medial side is more. So subchondral cyst is there. So sclerosis, margin gets sclerosed, more and more bone form is there. So, and this area is become resolved. So this sclerosis of the bone and subchondral cyst formation around the subchondral bone is there. So new bone also get, if this area get changes, so this margin, around the margin, so it is not subluxate or some changes occur. So prevent that. The natural defense mechanism is some new bone formation around the margins. Some new bone formations start. Some new bone formation around the margin in the capsules and the ligaments, around the lymph nodes and the ligament. And this new bone formation is nothing which we call osteophyte and or aspar. Osteophyte or aspar. This is called osteophyte or aspar. This so these two changes, subchondral cysts, sclerosis of the subchondral bone, and the cystic formation. This is new bone formation around the margin. And fourth is thickening. Third is thickening. Fourth is thickening. So synovium gets thickened. Synovium gets more and more thickened. Synovium also produces more and more synovial fluid. So it is synovial membrane gets layered and is thickening layer and producing more and more synovial fluid to lubricate this area, and a smooth glading of the cartilage to maintain. So this is a thickening of the synovial and last changes that it occurs in the capsules and the ligament. That is a fibrotic changes. This is ligament and capsule become hard. It should not become resilient because there is chance if there is a bone in this area that weakens, so synovial will weaken. So you protect the subluxity and dislocation of the joint to protect that. It's a defense mechanism, and that lead to fibrotic changes in the capsule. Fibrotic changes in the capsule and the ligaments. Fibrotic changes in the capsule and ligament, so your joint get stiff. If the digital osteoarthritic process get increases, so you find some stiffness around the knee and on the joints is started due to fibrotic changes in the capsules and ligaments taking place. So these are the pathologies: basic changes, subchondral cyst, subchondral sclerosis, new bone formation around the osteophyte, thickened synovium, and fibrotic changes that lead to due to this changes in the cartilage.
Yes.
The clinical features of the osteoarthritis. Normally, one or more joint is involved, especially the weight-bearing load. The knee is the most common. Knee, hip, ankle, DIP, PIP. Usually, DIP and PIP is involved, but wrist or MP is free. Basically, wrist or MP is free. If wrist or MP is involved, then it is not a case of osteoid arthritis, it might be a case of rheumatoid arthritis. In case of rheumatoid arthritis, wrist and MP is more involved, PIP can be, but in case of osteoarthritis, DIP is more involved and PIP is more involved. The wrist is usually absent. And the changes in the wrist is usually absent. If it is found, it might be a case of rheumatoid arthritis. So it is case of differential diagnosis. You can add. It is an insidious onset, deep aching, poorly defined pain. I have pain in my joint. So where is basically it is very difficult to find at which place the pain is there, but pain is there. Pain is around the knee. Or some might be later case you can, some patient feel, oh, in the medial side I have more pain later on they feel. But basically it is a poorly defined pain. It is increases on activity. It increases on activity and decreases by rest. Morning stiffness might be present, but it is less than of 1 hour. If it is more than of 1 hour, then it is case of rheumatoid arthritis or something else. So morning stiffness, if you find, yes, you can, but it is of less than 1 hour. After the 1 hour, it get increase with activity and then morning stiffness goes on. If the morning stiffness persists for more than 1 hour, it might be a case of some immunological process, basically rheumatoid arthritis. Some capitus is there. If you move the joint, you will find some cracking sound is there that is loose body, or some changes in the osteoarthritis in the osteophytes in the loose body is there. So you will find capitus. Joint motion is get limited. Normally, before this changes, so your stiffness, or just now discuss about the capsules and the fibrotic changes in the capsule ligament is there. So joint get stiff. So limitation of the movement is there. Limitation in the movement is there, and if further stress is going on that lead to subluxation and deformity of the joint. Especially the joint get deformed. Normally the patient with osteoarthritis come to be on the later stage, the varus deformity is there. So patient will sit in the stand like this. So varus deformity is there. You will find the medial side is more compressed. So you find in this case this is the subluxation and deformity of the joint. Haberden nodes around the DIP and around the PIP. If you find a node is called the Bouchard nodes, and one is very specific you may find in case of osteoarthritis, patient may suffer with the vertigo and may suffer with ataxia. So difficulty in walking and there is a severe giddiness is there. So vertigo is there. It can happen in some cases of osteoarthritis if this in the spine, especially in the cervical spine, if the joint of Laska, that is what is the other name is ancovertebral joint. If the ancovertebral joint, that is called the joint of Laska, if there is some osteoarthritis is there and that osteophyte, if that osteophyte press the vertebral artery and that due to compression of vertebral artery lead to basilar artery insufficiency and this lead to vertigo and ataxia in older age groups and especially in virus. So vertigo or ataxia can happen in this osteoarthritis also. So depending upon the which joint is involved, so problem differ around which joint is involved. So problem if the hip is involved, some problem of deformity is there. So problem related to the hip is there. If deformity knee is there, so deformity related with knee. So which joint is involved more and more in this process? So features get changes around this. This osteoarthritis is normally this is osteoarthritis is of two types. One is primary osteoarthritis and one is secondary osteoarthritis. Without any other causes, without any other problem that lead to damage to the cartilage, is only due to the aging process. It is called the primary osteoarthritis. If the other things, other changes that leads to change in the cartilage is called secondary osteoarthritis. The most common is the traumatic arthritis. The trauma around the joint leads to intra-articular fracture. Basically, the intra-articular fracture leads to secondary osteoarthritis. So, in case of traumatic arthritis, intra-articular fracture, so accurate anatomical reduction is important. If you have some case, or if you find this case of intra-articular fracture, you must fix as anatomical. Try to achieve the more anatomical process. Achieve the cartilage is good in place to good contact to each other. If the cartilage lives wide apart, that lead to early osteoarthritis changes may develop. But if there is a fissure, really how best you can repair, how best you can cure the intra-articular fracture, post-traumatic osteoarthritis must ensue in that. But if you reduce it properly, address the articular margin properly, it must halt the process of the osteoarthritis in some way. So there is nothing in your hand of the orthopedic surgeon. Basically, this is very important. If there is an intra-articular fracture, must fix it and achieve the anatomical reduction, and you go for open reduction and internal fixation. And so this is very important in case of traumatic intra-articular fracture, and that lead to the secondary osteoarthritis. If you find in younger age group, there is a trauma in the childhood, and that lead to early pain, early changes in the cartilage, and that lead to secondary osteoarthritis. If infection to the joint, septic arthritis, that lead to damage to the cartilage, which again damage the cartilage and that lead to early secondary osteoarthritis. Some metabolic disease also lead to secondary osteoarthritis. This metabolic disease is hemochromatosis. If the iron is deposited in the cartilage, that lead to secondary osteoarthritis. If in case of Wilson disease, in case of Wilson disease, copper metabolism is given. If the copper get deposited, the cartilage that lead to secondary osteoarthritis. In case of Paget's disease, in case of ochronosis, L-captonuria, in case of L-captonuria, the tyrosine metabolism gets disturbed, and you find L-capton is deposited into the cartilage that lead to early secondary osteoarthritis, hyperparathyroidism, acromegaly. These are the things you will find secondary osteoarthritis. So this arthritis can be primary osteoarthritis and this is secondary osteoarthritis. So these are the changes. In case of secondary arthritis, usually in hip, if there is a problem in the hip, suppose in some trauma or that lead to some problem is there, so that lead to osteoarthritis. In some case of slipped capital femoral epiphysis, if the child born with a slip in the child having congenital problem also, not only this trauma infection and not only congenital problem also, congenital problem. If the slipped capital femoral epiphysis can be the disease. So that lead to changes in the bone. If there is something changes that lead to changes in the Perthes disease, changes in the head of the femur that lead to this disease. Some Gaucher's disease that lead to deposition of the cartilage in the head of the femur, that changes in the shape of this get changes in dysplasia of the sternum and changes in the sternum, that is Gaucher's disease. Some alcohol, if you find and take more than alcohol, so this avascular necrosis of the head, avascular necrosis of the X again lead to secondary osteoarthritis, and AVN may be due to alcohol. If you take more and more alcohol, steroid therapy. If you get longer the steroid therapy, you get alcohol is taken. So it's in case of Gaucher's disease. So avian is there, this trauma avian is there. So this head is getting deformed, and that lead to secondary osteoarthritis. So avian, slip capital femoral epiphysis, Perthes disease, more are very relevant in case of hip. So usually in case of hip, most of the case in time we find secondary osteoarthritis in case of hip. So most of the time you find secondary osteoarthritis in hip. Now come to treatment of the osteoarthritis. Aim of our treatment is not to completely eradicate the osteoarthritis, it's not possible. So basically what our aim is to reduce the pain and improve function. The basic goal of our treatment is to reduce the pain and improve function. So treatment is of two types, surgical, medical and surgical. First of all, you go for medical treatment. For pain, you give some different kinds of NSAIDs available to reduce the pain. So NSAID is important. And second is physiotherapy. Different kinds of occupational therapies, heat therapy, ultrasound, short wave therapy, different kinds of exercise. So you go for the NSAID plus physiotherapy. NSAID plus physiotherapy is these two are very important. If the more is there, then some sort of some use of sticks also. Use of the sticks is very important. If you transfer your weight of your load from the joint to the stick, so it relieves pain more and more. So it is also very useful things to do. If you have had some arthritis to go up suddenly increases so you should start taking sticks. So previously our ancestors are using sticks or lathi in your hands. This is very important, initially important in this case. So you transfer the load of your weight on the sticks. So your joint is getting less and less load on that. So you will feel improvement, will less pain, less adhesion needed. So this is also is very important use of the sticks in this case. Sometimes you will find you will see very good result in case of intra-articular steroids. If you put intra-articular steroids, you will get a relief. Sometimes you get intra-articular hyaluronic acids also. Some sort of treatment is coming. So if your synovial fluid, your this hyaluronic acid is not in proper way, so it is lesser volumes, less in quality, lesser molecules. So it's a normal joint fluids like this. This is also a smooth gliding surface is provided and produces significant result. So these are the treatments. So use in this way. In case of female, if the patient is suffering with some sort of osteoporosis after menopausal age, so you go for some hormonal therapies also in this case. So hormonal therapy also improve this osteoporosis and this osteoarthritic changes in your body, especially in female. If all the treatment of the medical is failed and more pain is there, so important criteria from medical to surgical is pain. If pain is debilitating, more pain is debilitating pain is there, then you go for surgical treatment. And normally surgical treatment is up to diet. Either you have to reconstruct the joint, so total knee replacement, total joint replacement, total knee, total hip, total. So these are the total elbow, total ankle. So basically total knee and total hip is very commonly used in this day for addressing the osteoarthritis of different kinds of osteoarthritis in your body, especially the osteoarthritis. So arthroplasty, reconstruction of the bone. So after if you remove the cartilage and cartilage is replaced by the some sort of artificial elements, so there is no pain. No pain is there. So this is very good treatment. But in case if the patient is come from the lower strata, main wall labor, so this arthroplasty is not a good option for them. Arthroplasty is basically for the white collar job persons, and your job is sitting on the chair and doing the work. So arthroplasty is very useful in this case, but in case of manual worker, hard labor, so as this arthroplasty is not good option. In that case, you have to go for arthrodesis. Some different kinds of arthrodesis or different kinds of arthrodesis and different kinds of some changes in the osteotomy or different kind of osteotomy and arthrodesis. Different kinds of osteotomy, especially around the knee is high tibial osteotomy and distal femoral osteotomy. High tibial osteotomy and lower femoral osteotomy is a good option in case of manual labor and somewhat good results. And so many times I feel if it is unicompartmental osteoarthritis, there is one compartment involved. In that case, this some sort of osteotomy is very useful in this case. So if the patient is suffering with this sort of treatment, if you find no, this is not problem, it both sides is involved, both compartment involved, or arthroplasty is a manual worker, so you go for the arthrodesis also. This arthrodesis, you will have stable joint, but you lose the motion. you will lose the motion, but you have a painful and stable joint. So if you are addressing the joint, so three things is very important. It must be painless, it must have a motion and stable. So a stable joint, painless joint, and with motion. So these three things you have to achieve. In case of orthodesis, you will achieve the painless and you will achieve the stability and lose the motion. In case of arthroplasty, you will achieve all three, but some sort of instability is there. Arthroplasty is not meant for hard work. So this way you can treat the case of osteoarthritis. Thank you very much. Okay.